Thank you, Lele. May I first start by thanking His Excellency, Mr. Governor, for not only turning up here, but most importantly, turning up on time. May I please ask you to give him a warm round of applause. And Lagos is so fundamental to this story of entrepreneurship that I'm going to tell, and you'll understand why it was particularly important that Mr. Governor was here with us. Are my slides up? I was working till 1 a.m. on this slide, so they better show them. If I were young and I was sitting in this room today, and I'm Nigerian, and I'm running a business, I'm quite clear that you will be worried about some things. And I want to sell you all a message of hope this morning, a message of excitement, and why you should really be excited about the coming years. There's a very wise man, I don't remember who said it, but I like to use the expression, who once said that if you unlock entrepreneurship where the tools to unlock it are scarce, what you end up doing is you change the world. And this is why entrepreneurship and the work that Endeavor does is so fundamental to all of us in Nigeria. Many would have thought over the last couple of years, should I be running a business in Nigeria or should I be shutting it down and moving off to Canada? I have all of these world-class skills. Should I be persisting with this market? And I'm going to try to sell each and every one of you this morning a message of hope that keeps many of us here, and the reason why, if you understand Nigeria's trajectory, notwithstanding all of the current difficulties, you are going to understand why you need to hang around. So, my first message is that demography is destiny. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. If you lived in Lagos in 1973, 59.6 million people lived in Nigeria, in this country. In less than 50 years, we have seen Nigeria's population more than triple. And we will end this year at some 220 million Nigerians. So when Goldman Sachs estimates that by 2075, 490 million people will live in this country, they're not smoking something. And it will happen because we haven't started today to do the things that will slow down that population growth. But not only will this become one of the most significant markets in the world from a population perspective, that demography and the innovation, the entrepreneurship, the investments that are happening in the market is going to drag this economy kicking and screaming and make it one of the 5 largest economies in the world by 2075. I didn't say so, this is Goldman Sachs research. And if you follow the economic history and the trajectory of the US over the last 90 years, or you follow the trajectory of China over the last 33 to 35 years, or the trajectory of India over the last 20 to 25 years, then you will believe me when I say that demography is destiny. And Lagos today, with a teeming population of some 25, 26 million people, is going to be at the center of that entrepreneurial boom. And by 2075, Lagos will have 57 million people living here. Without innovation, without investments in infrastructure, without investments in education and in our healthcare, we would otherwise have a problem. But I think that the work that you and I are doing as entrepreneurs is mission critical to ensuring that we keep Lagos moving and actually deliver it as one of the capitals of the world. What is this going to take? The entrepreneurial ecosystem needs to be working together. And it requires a collaboration between government, between investors, between entrepreneurs and founders, and most importantly, with the people and the reason that you and I exist, which is the Nigerians in Nigeria and the Nigerians in diaspora that we all serve. And I want to put it to you this morning that each and every one of us as entrepreneurs plays a key role. We are all leaders. If you own a business, no matter how small, if you only employ 3 people or you employ 500 people, you're a leader in your own right. And therefore, each and every one of us must focus on solving Nigeria's deficits. And Nigeria has many, many deficits. But if you choose to see problems in them, you might get depressed. I like to see opportunity in those deficits. And those deficits include significant deficits in infrastructure, in education, in healthcare, in food security, in housing, in savings and investments, in clean energy, in trading and commerce, in jobs and prosperity. So the work that each and every one of us does is really critical to the future of Nigeria. Now, it's not uncommon for most entrepreneurs, particularly because many new age entrepreneurs tend to be young, to be quite distrustful of government and regulatory frameworks. But I want to put it to you that you must recognize the importance of that partnership and recognizing that more than ever, governments in this country appear positioned to play an enabling role. And the reason I'm really, really pleased that Governor Lagos is here today is I must also pay him a personal compliment. I've had the good fortune of working with governors of this state very clearly over the last 30 years, more or less. No one has done more for young people and for entrepreneurship in this city than our current governor. Thank you, Mr. Governor, for what you do. Everything that founders do is about innovation. And the word entrepreneurship for me, I like to simplify it in 3 words. Vision, innovation, and creativity are the things that produce entrepreneurship. And innovation is really catalytic when you have lots of people to drive in economic growth. Every year, whether you and I like it or not, we will add 3 million, we'll grow by 3% more, which today basically means we're adding 6 to 7 million people to the population every year. And we haven't started doing anything to slow down the population growth. So what we must accelerate is the pace of innovation. And innovation has been critical to all significant economic stories and miracles that we've seen across the world since the end of World War II. Innovation can be catalytic to Nigeria's economic growth and prosperity. Innovation improves quality of living, it promotes competitiveness and increases output. It creates jobs, most importantly. It delivers higher income levels. And overall, it ensures that as an economy, we are advancing faster than the rate at which population is growing. What matters is creating an enabling environment. And too often, we behave like this is purely the responsibility of government. There are some things that government can do, but there is a tremendous amount that we, the people, can do. And I will put it to you that there are 5 elements that are going to be really critical. The first of those is that we've got to invest more in infrastructure, especially in power and in broadband. Broadband is the petrol of the youth. It is the engine of entrepreneurship. And we have to ensure that as a nation, broadband propensity and broadband investments are accelerated very, very quickly over the next decade. And this is the way that we're going to lift hundreds of millions of Nigerians out of illiteracy. This is the way that we're going to deliver prosperity to many of our businesses. The next thing we must do, and this isn't a public sector challenge alone, it's a public and private sector challenge, is we must educate a generation of Nigerians to work in software engineering, in technology, and in creative industry jobs. And we all have to train those people. We must all work on the ease of doing business, because this is really imperative for any kind of startup ecosystem that is going to prosper. And not all startups, by the way, are technology startups. Some startups are doing work, in what you and I describe as a gig economy. From Friday to Saturday, a whole series of parties and owambes happen all over Lagos. And there's a huge industry supporting those people. Those are important entrepreneurs in our ecosystem as well. And one of the things that you learn about Endeavor is that we work with technology-enabled startups, but we also work with real-life businesses, and this is really important. Incentives are important, and here government can play a larger-than-life role, but most importantly, in-country capital is important. And if we continue to create all of these valuable startups, and all we are doing is investing out of country capital, all we are doing, is simply recolonizing ourselves. And many of these business solutions are solving uniquely Nigerian and uniquely African problems. So we need to get much more domestic capital investing in the sector. Finally, what must we as entrepreneurs do? We must recognize that in the businesses that we're building, a startup, if it's going to scale, must behave like a proper business. And that fundamentally means that we must focus on sustainable growth and profitability. If you're building this startup and it doesn't make money, and it's not growing higher than inflation, then it needs to be fixed. We need to understand the importance of governance. And the way I would describe governance very simply is using other people's money. Once you go out and you raise money from third parties, you need to recognize that there's a duty and a burden of responsibility on us to make sure that we are accountable and that we deliver a return. I also want to speak to the importance of ensuring that you keep moving. In a high inflationary environment, in a volatile environment, the only way that you're prospering is you keep taking small steps of progress. No matter how difficult things are, every month there must be some noticeable traction and improvement. I think we all need to get realistic about raising capital. And gone are the days where a startup could wake up and every 9 months you're raising a new round. Every time you raise money and you put money on the balance sheet, guard it. Behave like you won't have a chance to raise money for another couple of years. Then finally, if you're all going to find support, we all need to understand that not every business is a unicorn. There will be a few unicorns, but valuation is always what you think the value of your company is and what somebody is prepared to pay for it. Most importantly, exits are really, really important. And that's why I'm really proud, to see our Daystar colleagues here. It's one of the first, Endeavor entrepreneurs that's had an exit. Shell bought their business in December of last year. And unless investors can count money, not paper money, it's only then that more capital will continue to flow through. Really delighted to have spoken with each and every one of you. Thank you, Mr. Governor, for turning up. Thank you all, and please enjoy catalyzing conversations.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Bolaji Balogun.